Dead Hand is the next one. Hey Howard, can you do me a little favor? Since you're here, and I always trust you with this because I understand your concept of time now. Can you check if the 1990s are very long? Because tomorrow we're gonna finish the 1000s finally, and but I also have to wake up early for a course the next day, so I just want to make sure if they're short or long, because depending on how long they are, I will have to like either cut the stream short or start the stream early. Keto, man, we're getting some really high rated ones now. Dead Hand, okay. SCP-1984 is to be secured at Armed Containment Complex 4, KMSSE of Verkhoyansk, Sakha Republic, Russian Federation. I butchered that completely, I'm so sorry. MTF Omega 59, oh my god, Netshayeva Wolves and MTF Sigma 18 chess masters are to be permanently stationed at Complex 4. SCP-1984 itself is to be contained in Warehouse 5E in a standard humanoid containment cell, modified to be enclosed within a Faraday cage to prevent external broadcasts from reaching the interior. The only broadcasts allowed to reach SCP-1984 are those creatures created by the Information Control Team. All broadcast signals in the vicinity of Complex 4 are to be monitored. At all times, the Information Control Team shall be staffed with no fewer than 15 members and housed in Dormitory 3F, adjacent to Studio 1A. Among these must be at least one military historian, 2 personnel with an extensive background in international diplomacy, 1 economist, 2 actors with significant stage experience, and 3 personnel with at least 10 years of experience in the Soviet/Russian media. SCP-1984 is to receive a narrative transmitted via radio and television broadcast depicting an ongoing state of detente? What the fuck? I never seen this word before.
Détente.
Détente? What the fuck is détente? The easing of hostility or strained relations, especially between countries. Oh, gotcha. Mostly short to medium, but there's one that's recently long by DJ Cactus. Okay, gotcha. Then we can handle that tomorrow then. Perfect. Détente between the Soviet Union and NATO, designed to resemble official release from TASS, the Association Press, the BBC, and other established Cold War era news organization. Description: SCP-1984 was created by the Soviet Union during the... By the way, Howard, I'm happy that you're here. It's been so long. Was created by the Soviet Union during the 1980s to serve as its second strike nuclear deterrence mechanism. SCP-1984 is in fact a system referred to in Western media as Dead Hand. An automated nuclear response commonly believed to be triggered by the destruction of the Soviet command and control structure. However, rather than being a network of sensors and computing systems, SCP-1984 is an autonomous, self-aware entity of varying observable existence with direct access to all Russian nuclear sites and the ability to commence the launch of ICBMs stored therein. Ooh, shit. Oh no. SCP-1984 consists of the embalmed remains of Sergeant Marat Chernikov, a Russian soldier killed during the Soviet-Afghan War in 1982. While Sergeant Chernikov is referenced in Project December documentation, no official Russian Federation records exists regarding him at this time. SCP-1984 serves as the locus for -1. In Storm State, -1 is a semi-sentient consciousness capable of receiving and processing broadcast signals. -1 can apparently discern the informational content of any broadcast it receives. During times of what it perceives to be heightened global military tensions, especially those involving the Russian Federation and the former satellite states of the Soviet Union, -1 will begin to manifest and becomes able to interact with the physical world to varying degrees. Gotcha, okay. Gotcha, okay. I see. Manifestations have ranged from a barely perceptible hazy human-shaped outline believed to be related to an unintercepted reports regarding the 2004 Russian presidential election, to a glowing bright red apparition in the descendant shape of a child missing its legs. Containment breach 1984-13 on the 8th 7th 2008. When -1 manifests in this manner, its secondary abilities become apparent. These include the ability to directly interface with nuclear command systems within an approximately 50-meter radius, and combat capabilities focused on severe disruption of the human nervous system. When SCP-1984 fully manifests, it can move at speeds measured up to 140 km per hour, and will immediately attempt to travel to the nearest functioning land-based strategic rocket installation housing fuck. R-36M ICBMs. The nearest installation is currently 81 kilometers northwest of Armed Containment Complex 04. Access its command system and launch all missiles at the present targets. Just something running at to a nuclear bomb site or a nuclear rocket launching facility at high speeds. To be like, shoot them all! It will repeat this process until it has launched all remaining missiles under Russian control. Which, if this is like in past the 2000s times, there's a lot of countries that will wait for Russia to like do anything to be like, well, they shot all the rockets, shoot back. So imagine how fucked that is. Like Russia should be like, what, we didn't authorize this. Who shot all the rockets? We don't know, sir. They just went off by themselves. What do you mean they went off by themselves? You know how bad it will look like? And then next thing you know, the USA and entirety of Europe is like, well, Russia shot some rockets at us. Time to shoot back. And then World War III would happen. -1 is extremely hostile to any human it perceives and interfering with it. It will engage any personnel in its immediate path. -1 has shown limited vulnerability to microwave radiation. However, this serves as to misdirect and confuse the entity rather than directly harm it. Recovery log 1984. In early 1984, double checking something. Dr. Sergei, the Soviet Union's official liaison with the Foundation, contacted 05-Overseer of Eurasian Affairs at the time, to discuss what was characterized as a matter of grave importance to the continued survival of the human race. At a secret conference in Sarajevo, Yugoslavia, coinciding with the 1984 Winter Olympics, to provide cover for the presence of high-ranking state officials from several nations, Soviet and United States officials briefed Overwatch Command on the true nature of Dead Hand, then assumed by the Foundation to be a traditional nuclear deterrent, and existence of SCP-1984. In the wake of information obtained by Soviet officials after the suicide of Dr. Anatoly Lavrentiev, man, these are, and subsequent destruction of his research facility, SCP-1984 was revealed to be both increasingly beyond the control of the Soviet government and designed outside of original specification, rather than serving as an assured second strike nuclear response in the event of the complete destruction of Soviet leadership. -1 was actively attempting to initiate a nuclear first strike at targets in the United States, France, West Germany, and the People's Republic of China. I told you, it's trying to attack different countries, and once if those countries are not aware, it's a anomaly shooting that. They just immediately think, well, the Russian government just declared war with us by shooting rockets at us. Might as well, shoot back. Oof. Ugh. At the request of a joint U.S.-Soviet delegation, the Foundation agreed to assume control of SCP-1984 and immediately commence containment procedures. Dr. The surviving senior researcher with Project December and codenamed Ezra by the Foundation, was appointed as director of Armed Containment Complex 04. I hope we get some incident logs and some stories to this, because this is like one of those things where like MAD was some yeah. Because I hope like we get some like back and forth between the nations. Where it's like what the fuck, and the Foundation's trying to keep that in control, because it's so. This is something that could actually happen to us. Like, imagine if some mad lad of a person, actually manages to hack into any of the nuclear sites and shoots a rocket from one country to the next country, that shit would like that would be terrifying. Because that would, there's no explanation. It's like you shot at us. Like, no, it wasn't us. We got hacked. Why should we believe you? You always want to attack us. Now now you did. Like that. No, we didn't want to. We're telling, and you know how anybody with like a military are, especially everybody's like trying to be like who has the biggest dick in this in this planet, and they're all children at the end. If you think about it, they're all just like, we are the one on the right. They don't care about keeping people safe. They care about like being stronger than the other one. Instant report -1 on the 8th 11th 1984, United States President Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan again? Joke that I'm pleased to tell you that today I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We'll begin bombing in 5 minutes. Prior to the campaign speech, thousands of media outlets reported on the president's remarks, and in the ensuing signal traffic and audio recording of the event broadcast by the People's Republic of China Xinhua News Agency reached SB 1984. Researchers note we still do not understand how transmissions are able to occasionally bypass the Faraday structure enclosing SCP 1984. Studies are ongoing. You know, I heard the computer system almost started World War III back during the Cold War because it falsely detected a Russian missile. They figured that it was a false alarm because a really important Russian politician was in the US at the time or something. Turns out the computer mistook the moon for a miss. See, that could happen to us. That's the scary thing, right? Reading this makes me realize like this could happen to us. If somebody just, if a machine malfunctions or mistakes something, or like I said, there's like some crazy person that hacks into the system. This is our world. Upon receiving the transmission, -1 immediately underwent a full manifestation event with no detectable warning signs. -1 breached containment at 308 hours and was immediately engaged by MTF Sigma 18. Upon sighting MTF operators, -1 assumed the form of a blue, translucent, emaciated woman dressed in traditional Pashtun attire and began attacking. According to video logs, Private, and Captain began exhibiting signs of neurological trauma, such as profuse bleeding from the ears, seizures, and leakage of copious amounts of what appeared to be cerebrospinal fluid from the nose and eyes. Ugh. Before team members equipped with specialized weaponry could train directed microwave pulses at -1, holding it temporarily at bay. Can you imagine being just your ass handed to you by a frequency that takes a physical form? While MTF Sigma 18 attempted to neutralize -1, members of the information control team hastily began recording a simulated television broadcast designated to return into a dormant state. The first attempt, video log 1984-84.42, was interrupted by the sound of a wall collapsing 80 meters away. The result of a failed attempt by MTF Sigma 18 members to initiate emergency procedures 12. The second attempt succeeded, although footage had to be edited to remove one broadcaster who began suffering what appeared to be a stroke. The resulting broadcast consisted of a staged BBC News update stating that the Politburo had been in on the joke and previously recorded contingency footage of General Secretary Konstantin Chernenko explicitly stating that Soviet nuclear forces were not on heightened alert. Okay, so they somehow managed to like be like, oh hey, nobody's shooting at anybody. We're all just messing around. Which, as civilians, I would not like that. As civilians, I'd be like, what the fuck? Why are you kidding with nuclear warheads, man? Fighting between -1 and MTF Sigma 18 continued for approximately 15 minutes after the information control team broadcast its report. However, -1 soon began to fade and its attacks decreased in intensity until containment was re-established at 551 hours. Took roughly 2 hours and 31 minutes to get it all back to normal. When with 13 MTF operators killed in action, 4 support staff dead, and 8 more staff rendered permanently disabled by traumatic brain injury, Incident -1 remains the deadliest containment breach yet recorded for SCP-1984. And it was all done by -1, who looks like a woman in a what was it called? Blue, translucent, emaciated woman dressed in a traditional Pashtun attire. emaciated woman too. Like they got the ass handed to them. Ooh, Jesus Christ. Okay, here we go. Recovered Project December documentation. Head researcher note: the following documents are fragments that recovered from the destroyed laboratory of Dr. Anatoly Laventiu, director of Project December. The vast majority of information from this facility was lost, and most documents recovered have sustained heavy fire or water damage. This archive was provided by the Soviet government upon transfer of custody of SCP-1984, and the appointment of Ezra as site director because of the secrecy of Project December and Dr. Laventiu's triggering of numerous fail-safe measures prior to his suicide. These documents are the only other source of direct information on SCP-1984 besides Ezra. Documents translated from the original Russian into English by researcher. Fragment 2.c. Suspected to be a memorandum from Dr. Laventiu to an unknown high-ranking Soviet military official. They are unknown but assumed to be from between 1980 to 1981. Due respect, the game theory's beloved idea of a second strike mechanism is just as ignorant as the comrade they criticize. You will find one man out of 1,000 who will push the button that wins the war. Not many will want the blood of millions on their hands, but some will do it to ensure an end to the conflict. This they use to justify themselves. But how many men will push the button after the bombs have fallen? How many will sign the death warrant of the human race and finish off what survivors there may be left? The threat may serve to keep us safe, but the act is only within the mind of an unreachable madman. Perimeter may be automated, but it still must be initiated by a human, and not one of us is capable of ending the world merely for the sake of ending it. The solution then becomes obvious: I have. But that's just a theory. End fragment. Fragment 12.w. Notes found in the chart binder that are not consistent with other materials recovered, written in English, original source of document unknown. Several unintelligible handwritten notes in what is presumably Russian are present in the margins. At which point Dr. Clark distributed files to each of the members present. Inside each file were the same contents: a photograph of a man in his late 50s with receding grey hair, spectacles, a mustache, and a grandfatherly expression, photographs of a typical suburban 3-bedroom house, typewritten notes depicting a short personal history of Mr. Smith, and a short story written by Dr. Clark about Mr. Smith's untimely end in an auto accident. Ladies and gentlemen, you know of course that the person in your file is not actually Mr. Smith, but a random citizen unknown to each of you. The real Mr. Smith, like our construct, is also deceased. Mr. Smith, like the Matrix Mr. Smith? I would not be surprised if this is a reference to the Matrix, because like the idea of like some frequency manifestation that takes over rockets being like some sort of like Matrix like entity would actually be very, very cool. Like our construct is also deceased, which of course helps with any troublesome legal action down the road. The information before you is a focal point. You must spend the next several days familiarizing yourself with this material. Keep reading and reading until you are convinced that Mrs. Smith is real. This is vital to establishing the correct baseline for our EEG monitors. When we attempt to, illegible, twice for yes. All assembled at the table clearly indicate that they heard 2 successive knocks, seemingly emanating from the center. Later examinations of video records do not display any evidence of movement among any of the seated participants. Dr. Clark moved on to the next question on the illegible. The entity demonstrated knowledge of information supplied to participants, as well as detail of the life of Mr. These properties first become known after supplying participants with a regimen of 8A-PDHQ, desoxine, and illegible. Then remarked that in light of Miss Lamarlier's injuries that he was glad we hadn't imagined a hostile figure. This one was bad enough. Thanks. End fragment. Fragment 21.x. Document consistent with personnel records kept by KGB administration. Date unknown, but assumed to be prior 1982. Sergeant Jernikov has been noted by commanding officers to suffer from periodic episodes of what appear to be migraines. However, he has never sought medical attention. Whether this is related to the event in Krasnodar is unclear. But in any event, the investigation could not determine Sergeant Chernikov's exact role in the death of Private Bekhterev. Exoneration notwithstanding, Sergeant Chernikov has repeatedly demonstrated antisocial behavioral traits, unprovoked aggression against fellow unit members, and action in the field that border on psychopathic. Efforts to prevent knowledge and subsequent propagandization of Sergeant Chernikov's actions in the village of Mangwell far outweigh the strategic benefit originally sought by deployment of Wimpel. It is the opinion of this commission that despite the critical need for experienced personnel in Afghanistan, Sergeant Chernikov be removed from active duty and placed in psychiatric care. We can ill afford such an unpredictable operatives in such sensitive mission areas. End fragment. To be completely honest, I was kind of out of it for most of the article. They're putting ghosts into missile launching systems. What is that? What's happening? I don't think it's ghosts, but because at the end, like, they do talk about like the frequencies, right? Like. I don't think it's ghosts, but I do feel like it is connected to some real life people. Because Sergeant Chernikov is the person that died, and that's the dead hand. But it's so maybe not that far off, but I don't think they are trying to put them into the rockets, because whenever they do, the rockets just fucking fire off, and then they have a chance that like they might cause like a new war. But yeah. Fragment 29.b. Excerpt from the diary of Dr. Lavrentu. March 21st, 1981. Research is continuing to act edgy and insolent. Many recent being transferred to this project. Amusingly enough, it's not the goal we're trying to accomplish that bothers them, it's the means we're employing to get there. Many of them scoff at magic and ghosts, as they term it, and they write the work as unscientific. I know they call me Rasputin behind my back. It was a mistake to inform them of the whole picture. Maybe you're right, Howard. I think you're right. There are, like, I think it's like definitely a sense of like they're creating spirits. What seems like it. But at the end, we just read like why that's a bad idea, because those spirits will cause the rockets to go off, because they will try to find like a base where they can fire rockets at different countries, and then fight off anybody that's trying to intervene. So I'm not sure if like if the end goal is that they want to create more spirits to do that, or if they want to create spirits to prevent that. June 19, 1981. Titular dead hand pun, yeah. Yep. New research team arrived today, quickly divided up personnel into sub-teams, each focusing one piece of the whole. Most of the work will be able to be explained under the auspice of direct mind interference software, neurological research, and observation of mass psychological suggestion. I can finesse the rest. Much better outlook. July 13, 1981. The tests have been in line with what Agent Parks observed in Toronto. The question now is what happens when we recreate them on a large scale with a suitable focus. I shall inform the KGB liaison to begin looking for personnel fall within our parameters. Illegible. October 29, 1981. Finally, install Phase 2 personnel. I hate to use UHI's connection, but the project must go forward, and I couldn't very well tell the community to hurry up with my ghost squad. November 5th, 1981. Initial success made us too optimistic. When we ran the identity through a trial launch sequence, it refused. Clearly it knew how, because it instead disabled the mock launch terminal. Never considered what would happen if our creation wouldn't cooperate. Can't believe how stupid I would have been. What the hell do I do now? Okay, I see now. I think I understand what's happening here. I might be wrong, but I think I understand what's happening here. So this is them trying to create spirit pilots for the rockets. Basically, they're trying to like have like not pilots, but like spirit rocket launchers. Basically, they will have somebody that can shoot the rockets even if they die. So like they can still win the war. They can still like fight on, But then what happened is it backfired on them. Now they have created a high frequency person that just wants to shoot rockets no matter who it is or what the reason, and will then fight back anybody that stops them. Because I think they were trying to create some sort of like ghost army to like keep on fighting for them once like the front would lose. But what if the ghost army doesn't like follow what you want to do, you know? I mean, that's what's happened here. December 13, 1981. The Politburo has gotten involved. Well, this means my missing staff has been replaced and funds are no longer in question. Bad things happen when scrutiny comes from on high. Orders are to spare no effort or expense to move forward. Moscow sent a man who looked like a Cossack to deal with Alexei. I was told to take a vacation for a week. When I returned, both Alexei and the Cossack were gone. December 24th, 1981. New test subject provided by KGB license. Before I specify loyalty as a defining characteristic, this time I asked for eligible. Need something who can be trusted to activate and carry out perimeter. Golovkin appears to have been enough of a thug to do what Alexei couldn't. February 11th, 1982. This is working, eligible, even in simulations. Maybe they are close to understanding the real consequence attached to the symbolic actions they do. Politburo getting impatient. February 27th, 1982. New candidate identified a Spetsnaz operative with undifferentiated cruelty to others. Promising. March 3rd, 1982. We relied too much on the pre-existing character traits. This time we will need two eligible. Show ensure that it will want to do it once it sets loose. Eligible. M5. Okay, yeah, I think it is that they created the SCP by creating a entity that will be able to shoot the rockets as a spirit. I get it now. We only reached the halfway point and we're already 2 hours in. But I gotta say, we had some really good ones today so far. I think every one of them. Even death doesn't spare you from the draft. Yeah, exactly. Bad news. I assume you gotta go, or you're falling asleep or something. I hope the next 5 are a bit shorter, but I mean, to be fair, we got so many good ones today. It was crazy. The next few SCPs are pretty long, unfortunately. Ah, shit. Well, it's Saturday, so we can afford it. But like, as long as tomorrow wasn't like the case.